After I got in the cab to go to the airport for the flight back to my house, I thought about what had happened to put me here. CC and my ex-sister both heaped what I felt was a public humiliation on me. My thoughts went back over the past few months. CC was pleased when I bought an out-of-business gallery and had it reconfigured into a studio for her to create in. I was practically killed with love for a couple of months, and then things slowly changed. CC spent more time at her gallery than at home. Our lovemaking disappeared and it became a mercy fuck occasionally. Then about 3 weeks ago, she hired a male model for one of my book covers. He was a Fabio wannabe 6'3" and chiseled. He also had an ego bigger than the Donald. Once she started using him, I was ignored. On top of that, where she usually spent 3 to 5 days to complete a book cover, Gerard Clausen had been in town for almost 3 weeks. I asked about the cover, and every time I got still working on it. Then this past weekend, I was hosting a Saturday night barbecue for friends, family, and professional associates, including my publisher and my literary agent. I was asked by my loving wife if Gerard was invited. I said no, not only no, but hell no. Then I politely asked my loving wife and my supportive sister to not have any alcohol at the party. They ignored me and proceeded to get wasted and loud. Then came the exchange that devastated me. My sister Jane loudly said, "That man is such a hunk. If you can keep my naive idiot of a brother from finding out, I say fuck the hunk and have a good time." Then she started giggling. CC, also loudly, said, "I'm so tempted. If I knew that John would never find out, I would be naked and spread in a heartbeat." Then they both were giggling. I left the party. I went into my office and realized that I was crying. I sat at my desk for what must have been an hour and realized that all that time I had been twirling my wedding ring. I finally decided that screaming at them in front of guests or in the morning would not solve anything. So I did what I do best, I wrote. I wrote a letter to my sister. My dear loving sister. This letter is to inform you that your employment is terminated effective immediately. The reason is this drunken statement you loudly made to my wife at the party last night. That man is such a hunk. If you can keep my naive idiot of a brother from finding out, I say fuck the hunk and have a good time. Because of that statement, you have shown me you no longer have your employer's best interest as your primary concern. I will not be disrespected, and when a sibling plots against another sibling, they are no longer related. You are hereby notified that you have 10 days to leave this rent-free house. You are to take only your personal possessions. You may not remove any item, written or electronically stored, that pertains to my copyrights. That includes books, manuscripts, movie scripts, and written outlines. This is also to inform you that, as you are a backstabbing bitch, I no longer consider you my sister. I am sending a copy of this letter to my mother and also including it in your personnel file and to my lawyer. Sincerely, your ex-brother, John Carmody. I printed 3 copies, signed them, and placed one under Jane's bedroom door and drove to a mailbox and dropped the others addressed to my mother and lawyer in it. I then drove around for a couple of hours. I got back to the house, and the ladies had apparently decided to look for me. My office door was open, and so was the bedroom door, and the ladies were both fully clothed and sleeping on the bed. The letter to my wife was just as nasty. Carolina Catherine Dolman Carmody. You had quite a party last night. I specifically asked you and Jane not to serve any alcohol at the party. You did anyway. After overhearing 2 drunken women talking loudly, I left the party. In case you did not notice, last night I did not sleep in the marriage bed. I will not be sleeping in that bed again. In case you don't remember the conversation, it was about Gerard, your Fabio wannabe. You two were discussing how you wanted to have sex with him, and Jane was encouraging you. Your exact words were, "I'm so tempted. If I knew that John would never find out, I would be naked and spread in a heartbeat." Well, this letter and the enclosed wedding ring are your permission to explore. As Jimmy Carter noted, lust in the heart is still cheating. All I ask is that you have the decency to move out before you explore and drop the Carmody from your name. First thing Monday, I am filing for divorce. You will have to move anyway, as the house is mine. You might want to talk to my ex-sister about living arrangements, as she is unemployed and has lost her residence. I will also be strictly enforcing the prenuptial agreement. I will not be disrespected by you, my ex-sister, or that asshole of a model who knows you are married to me. I am going to go to New York Sunday morning, and on Monday I will have your contracts for my book covers to end with those books that have not gone to press yet. I do not know when you stopped respecting me, but it hurt me more than you can understand. Not only were you plotting to cheat on me, but you were also doing it loudly, in my house, in front of neighbors, in front of friends and people important to my profession, and with my ex-sister. Maybe I am, as my ex-sister put it, naive and an idiot, but I am a person. One who stated in front of God and community to forsake all others. Do you perhaps not remember that you said the same thing in front of the same audience? I must try to get some sleep as I need to leave as soon as I can tomorrow. You will not communicate with me except through my attorney until the divorce is final. I really did, and probably still do love you, but all the hurt you caused last night will not let me let it go by. I do hope you can find a life that makes you happy. I was obviously not the one and not the one enough. Your soon-to-be ex-husband, John Carmody. Enclosed is the wedding ring you placed on my finger. It may be a little bent and have some cracks, but it must have been a good quality one because I could not break it. I don't need it anymore. I took a hammer to the ring and placed it and the letter in an envelope. Then I placed the envelope on CC's toothbrush holder. I then went to sleep on the office fold-out bed. I woke up early and got some coffee and went out on the deck to think. I needed to call the airline and the hotel chain I use when I have to go to New York. I booked a round trip, first class, with an open-ended return, and booked a suite with the same provisions. I thought that I would be in the city at least until Wednesday and possibly until the weekend. On the flight, I realized that my publisher and agent had been at the house last night, and I was flying to meet them in the city. They either would not be there or probably would not be in their offices until Tuesday. When the plane landed and I was in the terminal, I called my agent and told him that I would not insist that he drop CC as a client, that it was his decision. Then I told him she will no longer do any future covers for me, but the rest of her work is up to her and you. Then I called my publisher, Adrienne Nomara. I told her that any cover that CC had submitted for books gone to press were to be used, but if the book has not gone to press, I needed a new artist. I told Adrienne that if she had to pay CC for her complete contract, to bill me for it. When I accomplished that, I had no real desire to stay in New York, so I called the hotel and canceled my reservations. Then I went to the airline ticket counter and switched my return to a trip from New York to Portland, or to end back at my home. On the flight to Oregon, I contemplated what I would do for the rest of my life. The two women closest to me betrayed me, at least to my way of thinking about it. I would, of course, continue writing. A writer only stops writing when he dies, even if he never puts it on paper. Anything else was not on my radar at the time. The plane landed, and I went to my room in the airport hotel. It was near dinner time on the coast, so I ordered a steak and a Coors. I woke up the next morning and decided to just drive around Portland. I hadn't been there for many years. I went along the Columbia Gorge Highway, saw a bunch of windsurfers having a good time, watched a good-sized ship pass through one of the locks, and in general I just played tourist. That night I had dinner at the Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood. The food was excellent, and the ambience took my mind off my troubles for a brief period. Tuesday morning, I got a call from Gerard Clausen, the Fabio wannabe. He wanted to know what happened to have his contract terminated. When I explained that I did not have anything to do with his contract, but that CC was probably trying to cover her ass, he should talk to her. Later that day, I received 2 emails from CC. I read them. Gerard, I regret to inform you that because I have had my contract for Elizabeth Jester's book covers terminated, I must end your employment. I will, of course, pay all monies due to you. I will also pay any housing costs through Saturday at 5 p.m. If in the future I have a need for someone who would meet the requirements, I will contact your agent. Sincerely, Carolina Catherine Dolman Carmody. That explained the call from Gerard. The next was to all of our invitees to the barbecue. Dear friends, this letter is to try to apologize to you for the stupidity that I showed at the barbecue last Saturday evening. If you did not make the party, this is an apology for the hurt I caused my husband and his relationship with you. What I did and said caused immense hurt to my husband. I have no excuse. Being drunk is not an excuse or a cause. What I said, and even getting drunk, were insults to my dear husband. He has decided to take some actions to stop the insult and hurt. Should John and I somehow separate, I hope you all will support John. He did not deserve it, and he should not lose your friendship because of what I did. Again, I apologize for any embarrassment that I caused. Sincerely, Carolina Catherine Dolman Carmody. The apology sounded sincere, but I was still hurt. I called my business lawyer, Gary Chambers, and asked him to recommend a divorce attorney. The name he gave me was Sally Winston, and I called her office and had a consult on the phone. I mentioned the prenup and that I was willing to do better if she did not fight it. Sally recommended a few things and said that when I got back in town, we would meet and sign the papers and pay her. She also said I should respond to her apology. I told her my thoughts and she was in agreement with them. So I sent this email to CC. I accept your apology. That does not change the fact that you publicly disrespected me and even went so far as to say very loudly that if I did not find out, you would cheat on me. As I said, I accept your apology. But just being sorry is not enough. I called Gary Chambers' office today. As you know, as you use him too, he is an entertainment lawyer. He gave me the name of a divorce lawyer that I talked to today and am seeing tomorrow. As I said in the letter, you will need to move out of the house. It was mine before we were married, and our prenuptial says that you will only get half of the joint account. Hell, if you don't fight the divorce, you can have it all, and I will add $100,000 in the gallery. I will even pay to have the gallery modified to include an apartment on the second floor if you want. I just want your disrespect out of my face. John Carmody. That was the end of my correspondence with CC for that day. I was closing my laptop when a new email popped up. John, I know you are extremely angry at me. I really don't blame you. I will be out of your house by next Monday. I am very sorry I hurt and embarrassed you at the party on Saturday. What I said was just stupid talk. CC and I talked Sunday morning and realized that the ass-kissing was going to be going on for many years. I love you, John. You have been my support since I got out of high school. You supported me when I went into the military and helped pay for my college. I really enjoy working for you. I would like to in the future if we ever can reconcile. For now, I will do as you ask. I hope that someday you will forgive me. I never meant to hurt or disrespect you as a brother or a boss. But I did. I am so sorry. Please accept this apology as it is meant. I will let you initiate contact if you decide you want to. I will not close any doors, but you must push them open. Please know that I love you. Your sister always, Jane Carmody. I read it over and realized that Jane is family, and while I was still angry at her for the insult, I had probably hurt her almost as bad when we were growing up. I responded. Jane, I accept your apology and I forgive you. You are my sister whether I am mad at you or not. Believe me, I am mad at you. Now that that is out of the way, I still want you out of the house. I also meant what I said about you being terminated as my proofreader. I think we were probably too close together for too long each day. I love you, but after what you said, I don't like you too much right now. I suspect that at some time I will get over it. Let me have that time and for now, the space to heal. I am seeing a lawyer tomorrow to have the divorce begin. I have already told CC that I will not take her back. You need to understand that the problems at the party were just the latest problems. Your words just added to them. By the way, did either of you women know Gerard is gay and would not have seduced CCC if she really wanted it to happen? Your ex-brother, John. Things were calm when I got back to the house on Wednesday of that week. I arrived home, and the house was vacant. CC's mother had put a letter of resignation on the kitchen counter. CC had cleaned out all of her stuff, and Jane had done the same. For the next few days, I did all of the things I hired a housekeeper for. When Monday rolled around, I called Mary Maids and asked if they placed live-in housekeepers. They did not, but recommended that I might call the college and get 2 or 3 part-time college girls. They also said that there was almost always someone on campus in need of work and living arrangements. I decided to take that thought and run with it. I got the number and talked to the creative writing professor. He had 4 young ladies who needed to move out of their apartment as the landlord was trying to make them give him sexual favors. I told him my predicament and said that perhaps I could interview them, and if we could work something out, they could share 2 bedrooms and use the third as a study area. I added that I would, if asked, help them with their writing assignments as I had a few books published. The professor laughed and said we have a class dedicated to Elizabeth Jester books. That turned out to be both a great and a terrible idea. The girls were very proper and nice young ladies. 2 of them, Sarah Cunningham and Angela Mason, were sophomores, and the other 2, Alina Rodriguez and Sandy Skidmore, were juniors. They all were interested in part-time work and the offer of living quarters. They were excited to get paid and have a living space and a quiet study space. Their only complaint was the drive, but I pointed out that they were no longer paying rent and had a job. I would lease them each a small car to go to and from campus. They could only use the cars going to campus during school hours or to the campus library after hours unless they all went in a group. If they went as a group, I would let them use my SUV. Any other trips in the cars were to be cleared by me. No drinking while driving my vehicles. As we talked about what I needed and what they needed, we decided to come up with some rules. We mutually came up with a set of 11. We wrote them down and posted them on the kitchen entrance door. Rules of the house. All persons in the common areas will be properly attired. No just bras and panties for the girls. No just undershorts for the boss. No nude or semi-nude sunbathing. Bikinis are okay, but tops and bottoms are to remain tied. Live with the tan lines or go to a tanning salon. No underage drinking, and absolutely no drugs of any kind. No overnight guests in the girls' area. Any guests of the girls must stay in the common areas, no exceptions. If guests are here to study, then study they will. In the common areas, the boss will allow these groups to use the dining area. The boss's office is off limits when the door is closed. No cleaning, no knocking off limits. The girls' area is off limits except for inspections, or when invited. The boss side of the house is off limits after lights out. Any dietary requests are to be written down and will be addressed in the Saturday morning supply run. All parties in the residence are allowed to participate in the supply run. Boss buys lunch. The gardener and lawn boy are paid to work outside. They are not to be invited into the house, except to use the bathroom. They know these rules. Don't tempt them to break them. Lights out in the common area is midnight every night except when the boss is entertaining. Violations of these rules will cause the offending party to lose any common area privileges for 1 month. Any drugs or underage drinking means eviction. When the boss is entertaining, the girls may join in or not as they wish. Proper decorum and attire will be enforced. The girls' wing will be off limits to all partygoers. They were happy with the rules. CC decided to fight the divorce. She also refused to leave the gallery when I served her an eviction notice. Even at $100 a month, she was 3 months behind. I told the utility companies that as I was no longer supporting the building, the utilities were to be shut off, and a final bill was sent to my accountant. Then I put a realtor sign on the building. CC was not happy. She came over to the house one afternoon when the girls were on the deck sunbathing. I had not changed the locks. She walked in just as Sarah was getting iced tea for all of them. CC screamed at Sarah, "Who in the fuck are you and what are you doing dressed like that in my house?" I heard the noise and came out of the office. CC, shut up. This is not now, nor has it ever been your house. These girls live here during the school year. Now, if you want a civil discussion, get your ass in a chair and leave my housekeepers alone. She was visibly shaken by my rant. She slid into one of the dining area chairs. I went outside and apologized to the girls. Sarah was crying. I took her hand and led her back to CC. You have 15 seconds to apologize to this young lady. She is here with my permission. You have again let your mouth overrule your brain. After you apologize, get your ass out of that chair and out of my building downtown. Your 15 seconds start now. CC looked like I had slapped her. She dropped her house and gallery keys on the table and left. That day I called my lawyer and told her to take all but the prenup off the table and to demand that CC sign within 15 days, or we go to court. She had the signed papers within a week. I took the girls down to the gallery to look the place over. There was nothing wrong or even dirty with the place. There was, of course, some dust, but apparently no one had been in the place for days. I talked to the girls and told them that I really did not need this place. I then asked their opinion of the idea of converting it to apartments for off-campus housing. I explained that I would have at least one resident manager, probably a married couple. With the rest of the space, I could create 6 two-bedroom apartments. We decided to work with the college and the city council. The college was all for it. I went with my designs and got city council approval. The build-out was finished by the start of the next school year, and I found a local young married couple to be my live-in managers. The husband was unemployed and a very good handyman, so I made him the maintenance man. The kids loved the apartments. They were nice, cheap, and had dedicated study areas. The divorce became final and CC never took her half of the joint account. Jane and I reconciled, and when the first 2 girls graduated, she came to live with me. She had started to write also and had 2 novels finished and published. She and I shared the office and assisted any of the girls still in the house. I became her proofreader, and she resumed being mine. She also stopped all alcohol use. She stopped apologizing when one day I picked her up and put her over my knee and paddled her behind. She started laughing and screeching. When I stood her up, I told her we were even. I was over my hurt, and she would soon be over hers. I got a squeal, a hug, and 3 thank yous in a row. Now I know where my life is going. I am helping a lot of kids, my sister is happy, and I am getting by. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.